that goes ahead and leads us into our next game, where Austin predicted that the Titans would win 24-21, and I predicted that the Titans would win as well 24-13, but the Jags end up getting their act together, and they were able to score early and quickly. We've seen Will Levis put on a good performance, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, only sacked twice, averaging 9.3 yards per completion. But on the running side of the ball, we're talking about them not giving the ball enough, and the Jaguars defense just played good. I just don't think that they got the job done as effectively as they needed to. Derrick Henry had 10 carries, 38 yards, and DeAndre Hopkins had 4 receptions, 59 yards, touchdown. Those are your highlights for the game. Proving DeAndre Hopkins is still a viable flex start. We had questions about that going into the week. I think that he's proven that he is a viable flex. And Will Levis has proven that, he's a good QB2 in a lot of leagues. But when you flip to the other side of the ball, you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're now 7-3, leading that division over the Texans by 1 game and by the Colts by 2 games. And Trevor Lawrence goes and has himself a day, 262 yards, 2 TDs, a very good performance. And Travis Etienne goes ahead and gets 14 carries for 52 yards. He also gets 3 receptions, 7 receiving yards to go ahead and stack that up as well. And, a solid fantasy performance there as well. About 10, 11 points, solid flex. So, low game fantasy-wise for Etienne, but, realistically, he still had a pretty good game in real life. And then you look at Calvin Ridley, who has 7 receptions, 103 yards, 2 TDs, just fucking had a field day. I don't think that this is going to end up being a consistent performance. What about you, Austin? Do you think Calvin Ridley will be able to keep up a similar performance stat line for 7 receptions, 103 yards, and 2 TDs a game for the rest of the season?
Calvin Austin?
Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley. Okay, I thought you said Calvin Austin. Wait, when did we jump back to the game?
No.
I think he has that potential, but I don't really think it's going to happen.
So do you think he is a lock to stay at wide receiver 2 at least?
Yeah, comfortable wide receiver 2 for sure. But I don't think we're going to see 100+ yards from him every game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's more realistic that we see, 60 to 70 type range.
I could definitely
with an occasional 100-yard performance, like every 2 to 3 games, every 3 games or so.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I do kind of think this game was a little bit of an outlier.
I do too.
For sure.
He did put up 83 yards against the Steelers, 6 receptions, 10 targets, but that's his other highlight game of the season, other than against Buffalo and the Colts early on, which he had 101 yards, 1 touchdown against the Colts, 8 receptions. Buffalo 7 receptions, 122 yards, no TD. But I think honestly we will see consistently 70, 80 plus yard performances for the rest of the season, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him get 5 receptions. So, with that being said, comfortable. I think he's a comfortable wide receiver 1 at this juncture. I think he's coming into his own. Guy didn't play for a damn year and a half, and now he's finally starting to get into the swing of things.
He's definitely doing better than I expected.
Yeah,
for sure. I get the argument for wide receiver 1. I just feel more comfortable putting him at wide receiver 2 for the time being, at least. Just to kind of until we get more consistent performance from him. Again, those 70-yard games. Because like his last, 6 games, he had 103 yards, 20 yards, 83 yards, 5 yards, 30 yards, 120 yards. Right. So he definitely has proven that he has that potential to be that wide receiver 1, even that elite wide receiver 1, that top 5 category. But I don't think he's quite there yet. I think you should be starting him more as a wide receiver 2 to low wide receiver or the high wide receiver 3. That type range.
I think he's high wide receiver
flex. 2. Like definitely in every week flex for sure. But it kind of seems like Christian Kirk might be that one to start every week as that wide receiver one
I could see
type
that.
role. I feel more comfortable with that.
I
But
think
I
I'm more
think
comfortable with
sooner than
McVay
later,
personally.
I think sooner than later really is going to take over that wide receiver room, though.
Yep.
Uh, as the season went on, I thought it would be this year, but it's proven that it's not going to be this year. And that's looking like it might be more next year, which is understandable because, like you said, that dude took, they didn't really take, but he was off. He
For
wasn't
a
playing
year and a
football
half.
for a year plus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he came off like
So
a
it's
half season injury
understandable.
with the Falcons, which is
Hmm.
exactly when he got his suspension. Mind you, should I remind everybody that Calvin really got a full season suspension while Deshaun Watson had what 7 games for sexually assaulting women? So
11.
11. Yep. So
Wild.
wild,
Wild.
wild.
We're not going to get too much into it because no need to, but it blows my mind the way the NFL decides to handle suspensions
Yeah,
and
100%.
how they decide to levy the punishment. It baffles me every
Yep.
time because sports betting I don't think should be illegal for football players. Now they kind of just introduced a rule not too long ago where as long as you don't do it on team facilities and I believe games you play in
NFL games. Period.
NFL games period. Okay, then you're fine, which I think is good. I would even like to see them allow NFL betting, just not on your own team.
Hmm.
Just not for like the Jags, for example, or the Titans or the Steelers.
Yeah.
If you're a Steelers player, kind of thing,
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. You know, like
But I'm
the
glad
thing.
they changed the rule. I'm glad
The
they changed the rule.
I guess the thing that irks me the most about the whole thing is I would get it if he bet against the Falcons because he was on the Falcons at the time. But he
Yeah,
didn't. He bet for the Falcons to win. Like it's not, and that that's a big deal because it's like if you're betting on your own team to win, you're doing that anyways. Like if you're betting against your team, then there's an issue. But if you're betting on your own team to win, it shouldn't be like I don't think that should be
yeah,
punished at all, and I don't think it should be like advised at all. I think if you bet on your own team to win, then you're fine. I don't think it should be problematic at all.
yeah. I mean, it's different if you're trying to fix the game, right?
Yep.
Purposely lose to win a bet or whatever, like we saw in previous sports. Then it's different. Then I could understand the suspension.
Yep.
But just betting in general when you're not even playing, I think it's kind of ludicrous.
For
It's
your
kind of
own team to
crazy.
win.
Yeah, but it's crazy. It's wild. Don't make sense. I
You
will
know what
never
else is
understand
wild?
it.